Hello folks, this is Sula speaking. You're listening to another video for Teamfight Tactics. We are at the tail end of the Set 10 revival here. Set 15 is about to launch on the PvE, so I'm doing some final games before that happens, and I got another one that ended up being pretty good here. This one's going to be called the Ziggs Duo, and that name's not going to make a whole lot of sense until the end of the game, but hang with me. It will make sense eventually. You might have noticed by now, because we're getting to the end of the Set 10 revival, pretty much everyone in the lobby has like the fancy borders, like the red border around your name. Because by now the Set revival's been out for I think over a month at this point, and it's like if you're still playing the Set revival at this point, you're probably like a diehard who has played enough games to get the whatever borders. I think it took about 30 games or so to get these, and I've played a decent chunk beyond that up to this point in time. Now, as far as our encounter for this game ends up being pretty significant. And we ended up getting the one that is, I think it's Ari. It is headliners appear one level earlier than they normally would appear. This is actually probably my single least favorite encounter, and if you've heard me doing these videos, you've probably heard me saying over and over again, I don't like this encounter, I don't like this encounter, I don't like this encounter. And that's true, I don't like a lot of the encounters. I tend to prefer the ones that are a little bit more chill, for lack of a better word. This one, though, has been causing me absolute fits. I've been getting this one quite a lot. I think there was a period where I had it in 3 out of 4 games, which is weird because I think it only has like 10% odds to show up. But for whatever reason, this one just throws me off a lot. For whatever reason, I've just had a lot of difficulty figuring out how to make this one work. Again, the basic idea is that you're treated as if you're one level higher for the purposes of what headliner can appear. The classic version of that is, well, hold on for a second. We'll get back to this in a second. We have our first augment. It's silver. I like seeing that the first augment's silver. That means we're less likely to have some crazy prismatic everything game. And out of these options, I thought about Spoils of War, but I didn't think that my board was strong enough to win streak. And you generally don't want to take spoils unless you think you have a strong early game board. So I ended up taking Young and Wild and Free. You can always move on the carousel, gain 5 gold. So this will let me pick first on all the carousels. And, you know, that for a silver augment, that's actually pretty nice. Again, if you're going to be lost streaking through the early game, it's less useful because, you know, like if you're picking first on the carousels anyway, it's not much of a benefit. But if you think that you're going to be one of the higher health totals, then it actually ends up being hugely beneficial. And it's actually one of my favorite silver augments. You can either get key champions off the carousel, or you can get the item components you need. And if by some chance there's like a spatula there, then it turns out to be, obviously, you can just grab the spatula, and that's super nice for a lot of team competitions. Although, as it turns out, I'm heading in a Disco Dazzler direction, and there's not a ton of use for spatulas in that particular team competition. Alright, anyway, getting back to the encounter, as I said before, didn't want to drop that point. Again, the headliners treat us as though we are one level higher than we actually are for the purposes of having a headliner. The classic example of this is normally you cannot see a 4-cost headliner until you're level 8. And that's why most of the strategies, unless you're doing a reroll build, most of the strategies in the Set Revival and Set 10 typically revolve around getting to level 8 and then rolling down for a 4-cost headliner on level 8. But with these different rules, you can hit a 4-cost headliner on level 7. Yes, you don't have to go to 8, you can go to level 7. And in fact, if you are playing a standard build in this lobby, you kind of have to roll for a headliner on level 7 because everybody else is going to roll for a headliner on level 7. And if you don't hit, well, you're just kind of screwed there, aren't you? Because if anyone is contesting you and they go for their headliner on level 7 and they hit and you don't get it, well, you're just so far behind the 8 ball at that point that you don't really have much of a chance. So that's one reason why I really do not like this, because it really turns the game into a big dice roll fiesta. Big roll down on level 7, and all you can really do is just position yourself to be ready to hit. And if you whiff on that roll down, then usually you just lose the game, and there's very little you can do about it. And if you don't engage in that roll down lottery, well, then you're just so far behind. I mean, you can go to level 8 and then roll for your headliner on level 8, and actually you have really good odds to hit a 4-cost headliner on level 8. But I've had games where I've done that, and just all the headliners I wanted were already out of the pool because everybody else rolled down on level 7. So anyway, it really throws a monkey wrench into the balance, and like I guess I don't mind this happening every now and then, but as I said, I've been getting this encounter a lot. As I said, I think out of like the last 10 games I did, I've had it in 4 or 5 of the 10 games. So it's been popping up a lot, and I've just really struggled to like figure out the timings of when to roll. The other thing you can do though is normally you have to be level 10 to get 5-cost headliners reliably. You can hit a 5-cost headliner on level 9 normally, but the odds are I think 2%. So like realistically, you normally have to be level 10 to get a 5-cost headliner. But again, with this encounter, you can get a 5-cost headliner on level 9. Yeah, you don't have to be level 10, you have to be level 9. So that also means that rushing to level 9 is a very powerful strategy as well. Okay, I of course get to pick first because I have Young and Wild and Free on this carousel. I didn't see anything that jumped out to me in terms of champions, so I'm going to grab the bow here, and that's going to make a Gnasher's Tooth. Again, I am building Twisted Fate items because I am planning on playing in a disco direction. I've looked around at the other teams, and it does look like someone else is going to be heading in a disco direction, which is not great, but I've got the Nami headliner here. I have been finding some of the pieces for this team composition. I do have a Taric, and I mean, I'm sure I could pivot out of this board at this point in time, but Disco is actually very strong here in the set revival. There have been very few patch changes overall over the course of the set revival, but what patch changes did exist, for whatever reason, they ended up buffing Disco a decent amount. It's probably the strongest magic damage composition in this particular version of the set revival. When the set revival first came out, it was Spellweaver was pretty clearly the strongest AP team composition and arguably the strongest build overall. But they did put some nerfs on some of those units, and then they buffed Disco, and yeah, Disco feels like it's quite strong right now. In particular, a Nami headliner is very strong. If you put like a Rage Blade on Nami, she will just carry you through like all of stage 2 and stage 3 if you give her any kind of front line. She's very good at covering. Like, look at that bubble. The bubble redirects itself in midair to hit another target, which is pretty hilarious. That was actually an update that they made to Nami. Originally, her bubble didn't work that way, but they changed that. And it actually was a humongous buff to Nami when they did that, making it so that her bubble's damage doesn't get wasted on targets that die when the bubble's in mid-flight. So yeah, they made that change, and it was, as I said, it was a pretty big buff to her. The items I have on Nami are not quite the items I would have liked. As I said, Rage Blade's really good in the early game to put on Nami because fights in the early game tend to take a long time. Generally speaking, the later you get into Teamfight Tactics gameplay, the faster the fights play out because damage just scales up by such a large amount as the game goes on. But early on, a lot of the time, the fights are quite slow. So with Rage Blade being a good item on Twisted Fate, it makes a lot of sense to build a Rage Blade on Nami, and then she can carry the fight super hard. So I would have made that if I had a good opportunity, but I started out with a Rod and a Cloak, so I went ahead and made the Jeweled Gauntlet. It would have been silly to just sit on those items and not make something from them, especially with Jeweled Gauntlet being a pretty good TF item too. TF can pretty much use anything that's either AP or attack speed focused. You can kind of build them in a bunch of different ways, but any of those items are going to be reasonably effective. So I made the Jeweled Gauntlet, and now I made the Gnasher's Tooth, and then for the last item, I think Spear of Shojin would be my ideal last item, but I also could always do something like Red Buff wouldn't be bad either. It's just I need something that gives a little bit more attack speed now that I've gotten these. Or if I would get if I would make like a Gunblade, then I could always try to play deeper into Disco the trait. Remember, playing deeper into Disco the trait gives you more attack speed, so if you are doing like a Dazzler build on TF, you need to emphasize the attack speed more, and if you're doing a Disco build, you can emphasize attack speed less and lay more on the damage aspect. Again, TF's pretty flexible in terms of how you build him, which is pretty nice. Now I'm going to get a huge gold drop here, which is really nice. It's going to accelerate my economy by quite a lot here. And that's going to allow me to go ahead to level 6. I'll just put the Set on the board. Set is not a unit I intend on playing long term in this board, but I'm like, alright, sure, I'll go ahead and take that. And then I'll just put the bow on Nami and this cloak on Kennen. And like, we're already level 6, 45 gold here. So I'm in a very, very strong economic position. And that's partly due to getting that huge gold drop there on the minion round. I'm just hoping other people didn't get like spatulas and duplicators and things like that, because some of them probably did. If I got a big gold drop, then some of them probably got something that was equally as good, or they all got gold as well, which will accelerate everybody's economy, and I'm not sure that I 100% want that, but It is what it is. I am already, like I said, level 6, almost 50 gold. I'll be 50 gold next round. So we're just going to push to level 7, and then the goal is we're going to try to hopefully find TF, because, as I said, that's the name of the game with this whole encounter is get to level 7, find a good headliner, and then just go from there. And then ideally, you push to level 9 and get a 5-cost headliner after that. So now we have another silver augment. So again, a notable low power level lobby. I was going to take health as wealth, but then I was like, oh, there is late game specialist here. I was like, you know, my board's pretty strong. I think I'm actually going to take the late game specialist, which is not something I usually take. But I do think that it makes a lot of sense here, just because it's going to allow me to hopefully push to level 9 quickly. Like, if I can get to level 9, I have the really good odds to find a 5-cost headliner. So that's the game plan. Get to level 7, sell the Nami, find a 4-cost headliner, preferably Twisted Fate. I really want a TF headliner, if at all possible. And then push to level 9, use our late game specialist, and then maybe move into a 5-cost headliner, which again, you normally can't do. But again, the whole gameplay setup kind of changes when you have this particular encounter. But that is getting ahead of myself a little bit here. For the moment, we're just trying to play the econ game, hopefully keep this win streak going, and yeah, hopefully we can trap this Yasuo in a bubble. Remember, Yasuo has Quicksilver Sash, so he's not going to get CC'd. But fortunately, for whatever reason, he turns and attacks Kennen instead of hitting Nami. If he had attacked Nami there, he would have won the fight. But nope, we're able to win that, and I have a 5-match win streak, so that's pumped a lot of econ into my back pocket. The only thing that's really not going my way is there's another player who's playing Disco. Clearly is playing Disco in this lobby. And I haven't found some of the units I would want to play on this board. I haven't found an Echo yet. I haven't found a Lulu yet, who are both units I would typically play on this board. And then I have not found any of the early 4-cost units. I haven't found the Blitz. Yeah, that person right there is also playing a Disco board. It's very obvious they're also going to play Disco and contest me. And so I also haven't found the early Blitz or the early TF. I'm actually hoping with my Young and Wild and Free I can grab a TF or a Blitz off this upcoming carousel, because there's guaranteed to be 2 4-cost units on that carousel, and I'm hoping I can get one of them. This player looks pretty strong. They have, what is it? They have double Thief's Gloves over there. That's a lot of Thief's Gloves for this early in the game. And as good as Nami has been for the early game, she is starting to fall off a little bit. Like I said, she'll carry you through Stage 2 and Stage 3. But once people start having upgraded 2-cost and 3-cost units, she does start to fall off. So my win streak does come to an end. Nami just doesn't quite do enough damage, which is unfortunate. But I will still be able to get first pick on this upcoming carousel, so I'm really hoping that there's something good that I can make on this carousel, and we will have to go from there. All right, I would be last pick. You know, I was going to be third pick, but then someone else lost around, so now I'm last pick. And I'm looking here, and I was like, there's a spatula. It's on a 1 gold champ, but there's a spatula. I might have turned that down if there had been a TF or a Blitzcrank on this carousel, but there is neither. The 4 costs are Akali and Kate, neither of which I want to play on this board. So it's an easy call. I'm going to take the spatula. Now, as I said, disco boards don't really do much with spatulas. But what if I can get a Reforger, I can turn this into a frying pan, and then I can make a Dazzler emblem. Unfortunately, Disco is not makeable. Neither spatulas nor frying pans make Disco. But Dazzler is makeable. I just have to get a Reforger. And you usually will get at least 1 Reforger at some point in time in the game. So anyway, we're going level 7. We sell our headliner, and now we look. And then look at this big shot Ezreal headliner. I was like, are you kidding me? How many Heartsteel games would I have killed to get the big shot Ezreal headliner? That's just insane. Okay, now the Bruiser Zac is pretty interesting, but it's not quite what I'm looking for here. Like, what I really need is a carry. I don't need more frontline. I need a carry. I need an AP unit I can play through here, and I really want Twisted Fate, but I was like, the Lulu Hyper Pop is noteworthy. I could potentially just try to play through the Lulu, but I was like, no, I still have gold to roll with. I'm going to be able to find something better than that. I think I can find something better than that. So I decided I would pass on the Lulu. Also, maybe could have tried to grab this Misfortune, but no, I think I can pass on that. So my early roll for the headliner has not gone especially well, but I'm going to have to keep rolling here. I got to keep trying. Again, this is the gameplay. It's go to level 7, roll down, hit your headliner. Unfortunately, my initial roll down has mostly been a whiff so far. I did hit 2-star Echo, which is not nothing, but I have not really hit a whole... I did 2-star some of my other units, but it still has not really been a good roll down just all that far. It's like, all right, Urgot's not going to work. Lux maybe, but it's EDM Lux. That's not what I want. If it was Dazzler Lux, I might have taken that. All right, I do find a Blitzcrank, so that's something. No, it's not Viego. I will pick up the Lulu, and I'm not going for any of these 3-star units here. I was like, I mean, okay, Sentinel Blitz. I was like, I really do not want Sentinel Blitz, but I was like, all right, I guess I have to take this. This will anchor my front line, but like, here's the problem. If this were a Disco Blitz, it would be very different. Disco Blitz would actually help me a lot. That actually might be playable, and I might be able to try to go for like Blitzcrank 4-star or 3-star, because I am on 4 Blitzcranks now with the one I had before. But Sentinel Blitz does nothing for me. I do not want to play 4 Sentinels on this board. It's just too many tank units. It's not a useful unit for me to play. So Sentinel Blitz is just not the correct headliner here. I picked it up because you saw I was all the way down at 0 gold. Like, I literally rolled myself out of gold. So I don't have anything else to roll with. I had to pick something, and that was the best available. Still, the problem is I don't have a carry unit. I wanted to find TF, and I didn't find him there. And that's really unfortunate because that's the unit I most needed. Nami is still holding my carry items. The only other thing I maybe could have taken was the EDM Lux, but EDM is not what I'm playing through in this game. Like, it's just not. It's just not a trait I'm playing through. So I still have my carry items on the Nami. I was like, okay, that's not the unit I want. Nami is not going to be carrying hard enough at this stage of the game, but there's just nothing I can do. I've got to build my econ back up again. I have to get back up to 50 gold. I just have no choice. I have to. So that's what we're going to do, is we're going to econ our way back up again. I also am really, really hoping for a Reforger to pop out, because now I'm going to go ahead and make the Onyx Spark, and we'll hold on to the belt because we want more frontline, and I'll make the red buff. I could have done Rage Blade, but excuse me, now that we're past the early game, Rage Blade's actually not quite as good, and I don't have a heal cut on my board. So red buff kind of kills 2 birds with 1 stone. It's additional attack speed for a future TF. It gives me a heal cut for my board. And we're already late enough in the game that I don't think that Rage Blade is amazing. Like, it's definitely still makeable. If that's the items I had, I would make it. But I don't think that Rage Blade is, like, amazing to make at this stage of the game, because Rage Blade tends to get weaker and weaker the longer the game goes on. It's still really important on some champs. Like, you still want it on Jinx or Misfortune, who are solely, like, auto-attack based champs. But, yeah, I think the red buff is actually not bad here. Anyway, so as I said, I'm really hoping I can get a Reforger. If I can get a Reforger, I can turn the... that spatula into a frying pan, and then I can make a Dazzler emblem, and that should make it pretty easy to play 6 Dazzler, which is very, very strong. But and let's face it, there's like nothing else I can really do with this spatula. Right now, the best thing that I can say is I denied the rest of the lobbyist spatula. Also, I did beat the other disco player who did find a TF, but I had no such luck. All right, the last augment's prismatic. It usually is when the first 2 are silver, and Invested is here. I have to take this. This is another econ augment. I actually have taken 3 econ augments in this game. Young and Wild and Free is an econ augment. No combat power. Late Game Specialist is an econ augment. Invested is an econ augment. It's extremely rare for me to take 3 econ augments, and it's usually a pretty big grief to take 3 econ augments. You typically want at least 1 combat-based augment when you're playing the game. But remember, I had rolled myself all the way down to 0 gold, and like my economy was just in kind of tatters there. I was slowly starting to build it back up again. And Invested really solved the problem. It gave me 45 gold. So I jumped from, what? I guess I was at like 28 gold, and it took me up to 73. So like that's a humongous jump. So first and foremost, it solved my economic problems. But then on top of that, Invested as a secondary property, for every 10 gold you have above 50 gold, you get a free reroll at the start of the next turn. So that it only goes up to 80 gold, but up to 80 gold you can get more rerolls at the start of the next round. So since I have 70 gold right now, I would, in theory, get 2 rerolls. By the way, as you see, this Riven barely managing to kill my my Nami. If I had gotten even 1 TF back there, then I would have easily won that round, I think. But anyway, the way that Invested works is it does calculate the gold total after interest is applied. So I will jump up to, what? I'm going to jump up to about 83, 84 gold. And yeah, I go up to 83 gold. And because the invested rerolls are stacked after interest is applied, I have now banked 3 rerolls. So if I can stay above 80 gold, I will continue to get 3 rerolls every round. And that does apply on minion rounds, by the way. It's not just on PvP rounds. So now I have a new goal. And that goal is, okay, I banked a lot of health in stage 2 and stage 3. I did not lose much health. So what we're going to do now is we're going to just econ up for the rest of the stage. We're going to keep banking up 3 rerolls every single round. And then we're going to go to level 8. And then we're going to go to level 9. We're basically just going to skip level 8 entirely. Because when we hit level 9, we have late game specialist. And I'm going to get another 33 gold the instant I hit level 9. And I'm going to hopefully bank up about 15 rerolls before we get there, which is the equivalent of another 30 gold. So we're just going to skip level 8 entirely. We're just not going to be on level 8 at all. We're going to go straight to level 9, and then we're going to sell the Blitzcrank headliner, and we're going to get either a TF headliner or a 5-cost headliner. I am going to probably lose every single round until that happens. But again, I banked all that health in the early game. And oh, what's this? Young, Wild, and Free. Hello. I would have been last pick on this carousel, but I get first pick. Now, there was an Alawi there that was also worth thinking about. But what am I missing? I'm missing a carry. I don't have a carry unit right now. All my carry items are on a freaking Nami. So I need a carry unit, and Ziggs gives me a carry unit to play through. So again, Young, Wild, and Free is just coming in insanely lucky in this game. I have been able to get a spatula. Even though I've done nothing with it, I denied the rest of the lobby a spatula, which is pretty valuable. And now I've been able to get a Ziggs that I almost certainly would not have had any kind of access to. And it also allows me to make a Wormogs at the same time, which is exactly the frontline item I was kind of most hoping to make. So anyway, we're going to go ahead, pop these items off Nami, put them on the far superior Ziggs. I mean, a far superior Ziggs. We're going from a 1-cost carry to a 5-cost carry. That seems like it's a pretty big improvement. And we do need to get another Dazzler on the board for 4 Dazzler, but that can be TF. Again, I would not mind getting a Dazzler TF headliner. That would get me up to 5 Dazzler, and then hopefully I can get a Reforger, reforge that spatula into a frying pan, and then make a Dazzler emblem. So my plan right now is to try to get up to 6 Dazzler, which I thought was pretty doable here. And like, I already have the Zig, so that's not bad. Plus, on top of that, I might be able to get a 5-cost headliner. As you see my board getting just completely shredded by this pentakill board. It's really not close. But again, as I said, I expect to lose every single round, because I really do not have much of anything here. I guess I've got the Ziggs, who is going to do a lot better than Nami, but still is not especially strong. So, like I said, I'm just trying to hang in there, but just like patience, patience, patience. We've already banked 9 rerolls. We'll get another 3 at the end of this round, and then another 3 following the minion round. So we'll have 15 rerolls banked. I'm still over 80 gold. And remember, I'm pretty much all the way to level 8. So I'll just hop up to level 9, and I'll get another 33 gold, and then I'll burn through all those rerolls, and hopefully that'll carry me through. I've got a replacement Blitz ready to pop on the board when I sell my Blitzcrank headliner. And I'm just basically stalling here. Not really doing a whole lot, just kind of like biding my time here and waiting until I'm able to make my move and jump up to level 9 and hopefully get super strong after I get up to level 9. Okay, this is a pretty standard KDA board. I would have expected this board to beat me because they have an RE headliner, but their RE does not have the greatest items, and we actually end up beating them pretty easily. I actually still had a decent chunk of my board alive, so I was honestly shocked that I won a round. I was like, wait, I actually am stronger than someone? This person also took invested, but they're only level 7, and yeah, I'm not exactly sure what... I mean, I guess I'm also technically level 7, but I'm not exactly sure what they're doing. Alrighty, so we go to level 8, and I guess I'll just stuff the Tarek on the board for right now. But again, I'm not expecting Tarek to stay on this board long term. There's just better units to play in the late game than Tarek. You run Tarek if you want to play 6 Disco, but honestly, it's often not worth not eating up that slot on Tarek. It's a very bad unit. I typically would rather play 5 Disco and play a better unit instead. But yeah, I mean, sometimes 6 Disco can be pretty good. Anyway, we're just grabbing more gold here. We're going to make sure that we have all those rerolls banked. And now finally, we're ready to start taking action. All right, I have 100 gold in the bank. So again, I'm going to take the TF headliner. I actually did get a Disco TF headliner here, so that's something. And now we're going to roll. And now I get all that gold from Late Game Specialist. And now we're just going to roll here. And I'll put the Zac on the board for right now. All right, there's another Zac. And I could go for Echo 3. I don't think that's too realistic here, though. Yeah, I'm not going for 3-star 3 cost. I'll take out the, whatchamacallit, the Tarek to put the Blitzcrank on the board. I could have played 6 Disco this round, actually. Might have been better than something else. And then let's put our tank items back on the board. on the Blitzcrank here. Now, I didn't transfer my tank items from the Ziggs to the TF. I was rolling and I just ran out of time. And that's really unfortunate because the Akali instantly kills the Ziggs. So yeah, I'm left with the TF who, you know, is a disco headliner, but the TF actually is not next to the disco ball, so he's not getting the disco attack speed. And in addition to that, he didn't have my items either, so I was like, okay. I also did not get a Reforger. Excuse me, did not get a Reforger, so that's no good. But I do have a leftover sword, so I was like, you know what? I can make a true damage emblem here. Sword plus spatula is true damage. I do have Echo on my board. I was like, all right, I guess I'll make true damage, I guess. I don't really see what else I could do with this. And by the way, I still have 8 rerolls banked. I actually just, well, I thought I got another one. I guess I didn't have quite enough. Well, Alawi shows up, so we'll replace the Zac. We're not playing Lux, so there's no particular reason why. And then I'm just rolling here, not seeing anything. And then, oh, Hyper Pop Ziggs Headliner. I was like, well, I have to play that. I have to play that. That's insanely good. Now we got to get TF on the board. I actually have 2 Ziggs on the board, and then I finally spot it, and I was like, okay. So we're not going to play TF Headliner. We're going to play Ziggs Headliner on this board. Yeah, we're going to play the Ziggs Headliner here. So it is so rare that I get the chance to play a 5-cost Headliner. I know what the Headliner ability is on most of the units in this set, because like I'm used to seeing them at various points in time. I do not know what the headliner bonus is on most of the 5-cost units. I actually looked this up before playing the game. Ziggs' headliner bonus is he cuts his mana cost by 15. He also gets 5% ability power, but he cuts his mana cost by 15. Normally his mana cost is 75. It goes down to 60. That is a humongous bonus. Anytime units have their mana cost cut, it is a big, and I mean a big bonus to get that. So yeah, his mana cost goes down to 60. And I have Hyper Pop 3 on my board. Hyper Pop 3 is very, very powerful. Every time Ziggs or Lulu cast, they will give the units that are closest to them additional attack speed and additional mana. I believe that it is, it's 30% attack speed and 15 mana. Each time that they cast. So I have them both standing next to TF, who, by the way, has the very unusual item combo of true damage plus Void Staff. I went ahead and made Void Staff just to get an additional MR Shred. I'm actually a little bit overflowing on MR Shreds here because I have the Ionic Spark on my front line as I knock this other player off. And Ziggs' ability also is a magic resistant shred. Ziggs' ability is he tosses out a big bomb and it explodes into 4 smaller bombs. And those smaller bombs are an MR shred. But there wasn't really anything else I wanted to make on that last item there. It was that or like an Archangel's Staff. And I don't think Archangel's is that amazing at this stage of the game. All right, well, I've got 2 Ziggs sitting on my bench. There's another Ziggs on the carousel. I was like, alrighty, I'm just going to take this Ziggs too. That gets me another 2-star Ziggs. And at this point, I was like, you know, I think I'm just going to play both Ziggs. Why not? But first, I do want to roll a little bit more first because I have a lot of 1-star units. I want to hit 2-star TF. I want to hit 2-star Blitz. I want to hit 2-star Alawi. And then I think we just go to level 10 and put another Ziggs on the board. I'm still stacking up some additional rerolls here. All right, there's 2-star TF. That's actually a pretty big spike for my board. There's another TF. I'll just grab extra TFs because why not? And we'll roll to 50 gold, and I think we stop there. Remember, there's another player who's playing Disco in the lobby. This now makes it impossible for them to hit 3-star TF, barring a duplicator, because there's only 10 copies, or there's 12 copies of TF in the pool, but I have 4, so they will not be able to get, they can only get 8 from the pool, so they can't hit 3-star TF. I've had a lot of 3-star TFs in my games, so I'm like very aware of someone who might be trying to go for 3-star TF. But yeah, I mean, now the Twisted Fate has kind of weird items, but remember, he's going to be getting additional attack speed printed from the Ziggs. He gets attack speed and mana printed from Ziggs. Every time Ziggs casts and Lulu casts, they toss out a little like green ball to the 2 closest allies, and that provides the attack speed and the mana generation. So even though TF's items are kind of weird, he has like the debuff special. He's got Morello's plus Void Staff. And then he deals true. I mean, he actually has true damage on both the Morellos and on his true damage emblem. So he's got this bizarre setup. But like those are the items I had left over, and they're better on him than on anyone else. So like, why the heck not? Anyway, so yeah, now I am just gonna roll again after the minion round. I have invested. I have 60 gold in the bank. We might as well stack up a couple free rerolls here because we're over the 60 gold. We'll get 2 more rerolls next round and then another 3 rerolls if I don't reroll on the minion round. So we'll get like 6 more rerolls here. And we are level 9, so we have really good odds to see the 4 and 5 cost units. I might even be able to hit 3-star Ziggs if I get super lucky, although that's pretty unlikely because I'm not taking the other. If you really want to hit 3-star 5 cost, barring like a whole bunch of duplicators, what you really need to do is just take a ton of 5 costs out of the pool, and then that increases your odds to see the other 5 costs. But I don't have quite enough econ to do that. Still, we're kind of steamrolling through these boards because, yeah, guess what? Ziggs Headliner in a 4 Dazzler, 3 Hyper Pop board is actually really, really strong. So, yeah, actually really, really... Oh, you know what I'm doing? I decided I would just go to level 10 right here. That's right. I was saving up gold, and I was like, you know what? I'll stack some rerolls. I'm just gonna go to level 10 and put the other Ziggs on the board right now. Double Ziggs, the Ziggs duo. Again, every Hyper Pop unit gets the Hyper Pop benefit. So there are some strategies where people will be like, you know, if you can actually play 2 Lulus on your board and they both get the Hyper Pop benefit. The Trickster's Glass artifact item is actually really good to put on Lulu for that reason, because you can Trickster's Glass the Lulu, and then both of them will print mana. Well, I can do one better here. I can play double 2-star Ziggs on my board. Now, I don't have items for this Ziggs, but he's still going to be really, really good regardless. And then now I'm just burning through my rerolls. All right, there's Ari. And can we hit another Ari or another Blitz? All right, well, there's Blitz, so we'll keep the tank items on Ari, or not Blitz for right now. Can I hit one more Akali? No. Not Akali, Ilaoi. And then I was like, I don't have items for this unit, so I'm just going to grab a Thief's Glove. Okay, we rolled one useful item. We rolled the Gnasher's Tooth. So now we have 3 different units that all have Hyper Pop 3. The Headliner Ziggs, the other Ziggs, and then the Lulu. And I need to move the Lulu next to the Ziggs, who's my Headliner, so that she'll print mana for the Ziggs. TF is getting mana printed from both of the Ziggs. Yeah. Every time either one of the Ziggs casts, he gets 30 attack speed and 30 mana. And, wait, is it? It's 15 mana and 30 attack speed. I was getting them backwards. Yeah, it's 30 mana from each of them and 15% attack speed. All right, now the Thieves Glove item's not quite as good this round, but whatever. So I think I do remember to move the Lulu over so that she's in a better position. I'm scouting the other boards. No one looks like they're close to 3-starring anything that's particularly relevant. Yeah, there we go. So now my positioning is a bit better. Like I said, I don't think anyone else is close to 3-starring like a 4-cost or, God forbid, a 5-cost, which did happen in one of my games. I'm not putting this on YouTube, but someone got a 2,000 stack Heartsteel cash out in one of my games and got a 3-star Ilaoi out of it. So that was fun. They actually had it at the beginning of stage 5, which was absurd, but whatever. Anyway, as far as this game goes, yeah, my board's pretty out of control. This other disco player who's been competing with me, yeah, it's not really that close. One Ziggs did 10,000 damage and the TF did 5,000. I mean, we're just absolutely steamrolling these boards. Now, I might have played this differently. If there had not been another TF player in the lobby, I probably would have gone for TF 3-star, and I think I would have had pretty good odds to do that. But with someone else playing a disco board, I'm not going to hit TF 3-star. Like, it's just not possible because they already have 3 copies of TF. I think they have 4 copies of TF, but I can't hit that unit because there's too many copies out of the pool. So since I can't hit a 3-star 4-cost, it was the better play to go to level 10 and then play these double Ziggs. But like, if no one else had been playing disco in the lobby, and like I can't hit 3-star Blitz because this person is playing Blitzcrank and then the other person also is playing Blitzcrank. So all the Blitzes are out of the pool and there's too many TFs out of the pool. As I said, if that was not the case, then I probably would have just stayed on level 9 and used Invested to try to roll for a TF 3-star, which I think would have been very easy to hit given the amount of gold that I had in this game. So anyway, it is down to just me and the other disco player. Once again, I get first pick on the carousel. There's nothing here that really jumps out that much. I guess I could have tried to make real items for that Ziggs, because like there was a death cap on that last item anvil. I could have like taken the death cap and taken that blue buff and tried to make real items, but since I took the Thief's Glove, I'll just take another frontline item here and go ahead and put this on get like one tank fully itemized. And then there's the Ilaoi. Okay, so our board is now complete. Move the tank items over to Ilaoi. She is the best tank in the set. She has very, very strong tank items here. And Blitzcrank can just be now the off tank. And yeah, my board's complete. But there's really nothing that this other player can do. I mean, that board is perfectly fine. Like, it's a very solid disco board, but like, that person has one-star Ziggs. I have double 2-star Ziggs, and one of them is a headliner, and I have 3 hyper pop in. Like, it's just not even remotely close. Like, it's not even remotely close here. So this person says GG, which was very kind of them to say. Kudos for that. And then my board just proceeds to absolutely murder them with various brightly colored projectiles, Ziggs bombs, TF cards. It's just a multicolored fiesta here. And we roll right over that board and claim an extremely easy first place finish. I have been getting so many second place finishes. I got 6 second place finishes in a short period of time. 6 second place finishes. And a whole bunch of them were completely ridiculous. I put the game up on YouTube where the other player survived with 1 HP on the next to last round, and then they got the first. But anyway, it was rewarding to win this game. The Ziggs duo was like insanely strong. It was a very weird game from an economic perspective, but it worked out, and I'm glad I got to share this. Anyway, once again, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this. Till next time, take care, folks, and I'll see you again soon.